Dímelo, sabecito. What? Fist up today. Fist up today. Oh, fins up, baby. Miami, stand up. This is Fins Talk today. Let's go. Sun up over there. Game day on the brain. From the tailgate smoke to the hard count rain. Orange aqua on my back. Crowd shaking every seat. We talking ball, talking heat. Turn it up, feel that beat. Fins talk today. Fins talk today. Fins up all day from the 305. We ride that way. Bobby Fins talk. Fins Sammy on the way. Miami, vamos. It's Fins talk today. Hey. It's Fins talk today. Who you reppin'? Who you riding? Miami. Who you riding? Dolphins. We break it down, break it live. Every snap, every drive. Hey. Fins talk today. Fins up all day from the 305. We ride that way. Fins talk. Fins Sammy on the way. Miami. Vamos. It's Fins talk today. Hey. Fins talk today.
All right. Woo! Welcome back to Fins Talk today, powered by FTSN, Fins Talk Sports Network, and Fins TV. I'm Bobby Fins Talk. That's the one and only Fins Sammy.
Bye, baby. Yeah,
What's
the
up, bro?
flagship, the Thursday night at 8 p.m. on, of course, the Fins Talk Sports Network and Fins TV is Fins Talk today, baby. Let's do it.
Let's do it, my man. So, oh my goodness, how to get on here? We're going to talk Dolphins. We're going to talk, we say, hey, we're only 67 days away from
Wow.
Dolphins football. Seems like it's only around the corner, but a lot to talk about. Today we're going to talk about projected starters for the Miami Dolphins, and can this young Dolphins team surprise the NFL? Is the NFL underestimating the Miami Dolphins? One Dolphins writer, insider, believes so. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the latest headlines around the league as well with Miami Dolphins. Here on FTSN, of course, we're keeping tabs on the LeBron watch for the Miami Heat. LeBron James, could he come back to quote-unquote South Beach to join the Miami Heat and Giannis Antetokounmpo? How about them Panthers with the big trade? And bigger. Let me get something more important, because this is closer to me and Sammy here. How about them Marlins? Sammy, the Braves, can you feel that? Do you feel that the Marlins breathing down your neck, brother?
Yes. I don't want to make excuses, but, we have almost half of the team hurt. But, but that's completely apart of the fact that the Marlins with the lowest payroll in Major League Baseball are doing a great job. As a team that inspired that, hopefully, I'm for everything Miami. Of course I'm a Braves fan, but every time the Marlins celebrate a championship, I root for them. I'm happy for them. Those steel uniforms are the coolest. After, of course, my Braves uniforms are the coolest in the whole league. So I love them. I love the Marlins uniforms from day one. So I'm happy for the Marlins, of course. But they're playing the Braves but I can support the Marlins, and they're doing a great job. You have to be inspired. They have a better record than the Yankees, and I hate the Yankees, so I'm happy about that. So
who doesn't?
I really like that. I really like that. So I'm happy.
What's up, Hog Dog? Great to see you jump in here, my man. Everybody, appreciate everybody dropping in wherever you're watching from, whether that's on Fins TV, FTSN, YouTube, or on Twitch or Twitter. Appreciate you all. Hey, you know what though? Look at this. You're right. The lowest paywall in baseball. People are wait. They're talking Marlins and Dolphins. This kind of goes into that. The Marlins again were a team from the team like the Dolphins who slashed a lot of salary. They had a few very good players, right? That this could be trade bait. These players could be trade bait. They get a new regime, a new GM, a new coach. They were on the edge of a playoff, fell out of it.
Should have made the playoffs.
They should have, but they cleaned house, got a new manager, started this year with little to no expectations, And my, oh my, look at what they've done. Maybe, just maybe, I think, bit bias aside, hottest team in baseball. They're 51-42
Absolutely.
currently.
Absolutely.
They are currently winning 6-2 right now against Seattle. So they are climbing not only they have the wild card spot, but they're touching on the NL East. So this is a team that, like the Dolphins, had no to little expectations. Because why would you have any expectations with this team?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I checked the schedule because I have a birthday in August. And there's a preseason game. I said, would it be cool if by that day the Braves playing at the Marlins, and they do, but it's in Atlanta. The Marlins play in Atlanta, so I miss it by that much. But hopefully the fan base in Miami supports it after the World Cup. All that settles, soccer fever, football fever stops. They find a way to support the Marlins because they're playing hard. They need the fans there. They need the fans to support the team. So basically, the investment, the payroll, get the money that they need to sustain that kind of a player push that they need. The trade deadline is there. So if the fans go to the stadium and there's some revenue, they might make some moves to get the team better. So it will be awesome if the Miami fan base finds a way to support the Marlins and they can make some moves during the trade deadline. So hopefully they keep pushing. It's gonna be hard, but because again injuries happen. The baseball season, 162 games is way too long of a season. So anything can happen by
anything could happen.
Hopefully they can sustain it. I will be very, very happy to see the Marlins in the playoffs.
But if the Marlins can do this with what they have, why not the Miami Dolphins? Why not? We're going to talk about that today. First off, again, 67 days away from NFL football, especially the Miami Dolphins. This is Fitz Talk Today, powered by FTSN and Fitz TV, sponsored by Caneswear. Can't say enough about Caneswear, guys. If you are Dolphin fans, Heat fans, Marlins, Florida Panthers, or of course the Miami Hurricanes, anything South Florida, you got to go check out Caneswear at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. But if you're anywhere other than Davie, if you're in Tennessee like me or in Puerto Rico like Sammy, go to caneswear.com. Brett and the crew, man, they do a wonderful job. They got great gear. They're very customer friendly and they're quick. If you order online, it's not like you get some delayed shipping. You got to wait a month. They're never, and you can't communicate with them. They can't. No, they're on the ball. They will let you know if there's a delay. They'll fix it and take care of it right then and there, and you'll get your package a week later. It's crazy how fast and great they are. And of course, can't say enough about, or can't say that without spotlighting, of course, Caneswear TV, the Caneswear podcast. Go check them out there. If you love Canes, you got to go check out Caneswear TV with Brett and Gio and the crew. But let's get into the Miami Dolphins, and let's get into some of the headlines here. First off, ESPN Dolphins roster ranked worst in the NFL. They say, if I could pull this up here, De'Von Achane is the star of Miami's offense. It is not close. The Dolphins are in full rebuild mode and have several units that rank among the league's worst. Okay. Right? We know where we're at. De'Von Achane is the star of the team. Absolutely. But there are some guys that I think by year's end could be household names. De'Von Achane is in that category.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we know Malik Willis was highly sought after around the league before he went to the Dolphins. This is the year he could prove why he is. But some of the guys that I think that could catch a lot of, catch love around the league, Jordan Brooks, Jacob Rodriguez. I think our linebacker room needs to get a lot more love than it is around the league. What do you think about ESPN saying that Miami is roster is ranked worst in the NFL heading into 26?
I don't want to rain on your parade, but you know my feelings about the Dolphins roster right now, and I'm not ready to say that they're the worst roster in the NFL because I have done not good enough of a job to go to Arizona roster. Arizona is depleted. The Jets roster, they did some improvements, but you had to find out to see really if those work. So, but to be honest, when you look at the Dolphins and you lost of the losses, They lost, of course, Tua. They lost Tyreek. They lost Waddle. They lost Bradley Chubb, Minka Fitzpatrick. The losses are huge. The Jalen Phillips from last year. So they lost a lot of talent. And you basically have half of the payroll because of the cap restraints that the Dolphins did on themselves by those contracts. So when you take that into consideration, and you look at the free agent additions to Tolbert, they lost Rasul Douglas, who played very good last year, but they don't have it this year. So Minka Fitzpatrick, like I said, is out. So the infusion of talent wasn't great. It's not like they brought a lot of talent, like they might be able to do next year when they have a lot of, maybe $100 million in cap to spend on free agency. So a lot of talent. How many players are on the 1-year contracts? Probably, I'm pretty sure it's over 30 players that are over on 1-year contracts. So, and the rookies, first and second year players, I'm pretty sure if they're not the youngest team in the NFL, they're close to it. So, I'm not ready to say they're the worst, but I can understand why, to the naked eye of someone like ESPN, who basically does the Dolphins no favors every single year, they might see that. So I'm not sure, but we can go position by position, and the question marks are there. There are question marks. Of course, defensive line might be better this year. We have to wait and see. The linebacker room, I think, is very, 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 very solid. But they have like 10 corners, and we still don't know who the 2 starters are. The secondary is depleted. The defensive line, the defensive tackles are a huge question mark. If Kenneth Grant doesn't make the next step up as a first-round pick, we might be in trouble. The defensive end, Uche, who knows? Chubb Robinson needs to be the player we expect him to be. So the amount of the tight end room, again, another question mark. Of course, De'Von Achane is the star of this team, and Malik Willis, we have to wait and see. But the question marks are there. So I can understand why someone, like ESPN, who basically never been a fan of the Dolphins, can say that. I'm not ready to say that the worst, but I would be crazy to say they're basically in the top 10, the top 15, maybe even the top 20. I'm not ready to say that. So the worst, I'm not ready to say that, but one of the worst, I will be a hard time for you to try to debate someone that they are not.
Well, I'll say this very quick. Like Adrian writes in there, not the worst, right? I can understand a conglomerate like ESPN who is so star focused. They're so star hungry.
Yes.
I mean, you listen about, when they're talking Miami Heat, the Heat are just a year away. They don't have enough. The Marlins don't have that star. It's always about the superstars. It's always about the big names, and the Dolphins are not that. The Dolphins don't have that big name other than De'Von Achane, who, as Pro Football Focus and the NFL, Pro Football Focus has him ranked the 5th top 5 running back in the NFL, and NFL executive and coaches have voted him to be the 8th top best running back in the NFL. So that just tells you, that's our superstar. Absolutely. But at the same time, as ESPN Ben Slolak writes here, Patrick Paul named breakout candidate for 2026. He's already a household name in Miami. We know how good this young man is. But yeah, I believe that he could be a guy who many around the league go, damn, this might be one of the premier tackles. He's on his way to do that, especially drafting someone like Caden Proctor. Like, you look at this roster, there's not a lot of sexy names. There's not a lot of names that jump out at you, right? Yeah. I mean, De'Von Achane's that one guy. Like, if you told a team, hey, go to the Dolphins roster, you get to pick only one guy off their roster. You get to grab one guy off their roster. Probably 99% of those teams, or 90% of those teams, are going to say De'Von Achane. Give me De'Von Achane. Mm-hmm. So I get it. I understand where they're going to hate on the roster a little bit. But at the same time, Malik Willis was sought after by so many teams and was so highlighted around the league for a reason. I mean, this guy's no slouch. The NFL viewed him as a hot commodity when he's a free agent. The Dolphins, John Eric Sullivan and Coach Hafley, saw enough of him behind the scenes in the practice field, in the film room, then what they saw on the field, to say that's going to be our starting quarterback when we take over a team. To get his first opportunity since the Titans actually be a starter with the talent of De'Von Achane next to him. And then here's the other thing. Oh, Malik Washington. We've seen some spots of Malik Washington. We've seen some highlight. We've seen some things that catch our attention, but nothing that rides home. Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell. Okay. They're not Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, but that's why people don't believe in the Miami Dolphins. They're not those guys. If they had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, maybe you might see this team around the NFL to come out instead of a 5-win average, might be a 10-win average, maybe, or 9 to 10 wins. The problem with the Dolphins is this, especially if you look at the receiver room and the tight end room. Like quarterback, okay. Running back, for sure. Receivers, question mark. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks there because guess what? Yeah. Maybe Malik Washington steps up. Maybe he becomes a household name around the league, or at least in Miami. But you know who the 3 guys that are really like we don't know, but I think have all the talent in the world and I think could shock the world is our rookies. We got 3 rookie receivers: Chris Bell, Caleb Douglas, Coleman. The Dolphins receiver room is a big giant question mark. We won't know until we know. We don't know what we have in that room until they get on the field. Dolchitz, the tight end, him and Malik Willis, the reports out of minicamp and so far in the offseason, they're building quite a chemistry. They got a relationship. You know, that's great, but that's also a question mark. You know what I don't think is a question mark? You know, like I feel like it's like you know, in the offense is the offensive line right now, at least the starting part of it. I think Sabanea is going to do a lot better at right guard. He should have started at right guard. I think he's going to do a lot better at right guard. He has that chip on his shoulder. Austin Jackson is probably your weakest link because we don't know how long he could stay healthy.
Yeah.
But Aaron Brewer, Patrick Paul, sign me the hell up. Caden Proctor, I'm ready for him. I cannot wait to see him lined up with Patrick Paul, those 2 giant behemoths. As if I could pull up this shirt. Let me just pull this up for a minute. I like my linemen like I like my banana milkshakes. Girthy. All right? All right? And that's some girth on that offensive line, brother. That's some girth. So I feel really good about that offensive line. Receivers, tight end, question mark. We won't know till we know. Chop Robinson going to the defense. First year, he did good. I liked his first year. I liked his rookie year. I liked him coming out of college. You know, he didn't have the numbers, but he had the film. He had the moves. When he came into the NFL, started slow, got hot, looked good. Second year, what the WTF? What the Friday, bro? Where the hell did you go? Supposedly on the outside, there was words that, he's just not committed. But who was on the Miami Dolphins? Half of nobody was really into last year. A lot of players. You can't blame the players. I mean, you can, but sucks for a young guy like Chuck Robinson to look at his team of veterans and they don't give a shit. So why should he? So I hope with this new coaching staff and general manager and the defense and Jordan Brooks being the leader of that defense, I hope he has a chip in his shoulder and fire under his ass that he comes in and ready to play and shocks the world in year 3. Joshua Uche, that's the question mark. Go ahead, talk about Chop.
Yeah, basically, you know, Chop is one of the keys. You know, if you have no pass rush, that defense, you know, stopping the run from the edge, from the edge position, pass rushing the quarterback, is gonna help a lot this secondary. We still don't know who's gonna be the starting 2 corners by the end of the year. Hopefully, our first round pick, steps up and we have 1 corner for the next 10 years, but that still remains to be seen. So defensive end Chop Robinson is gonna be key. One of the key players, I've said it before, many times I said it before, but Chop Robinson is a very key of this team. If the edge cannot stop the run, if the edge cannot pass the quarterback, we're gonna be in trouble. So a lot of the spotlight is on him. Hopefully you're right. Hopefully, the lights comes up and, he knows the spotlight is there and, the team depends on him. And, it's a 3rd year. And by the 3rd year, we know if you bite or not. It's that simple. I'm not one of those believers that if he doesn't bite a puppy, he doesn't bite. Some players, take a lot of more time. Christian Wilkins, for example, if it was by that, Christian Wilkins would have not been the highest paid player on that free agency the Dolphins lost. Got such a massive contract for the Raiders. So I think Chop Robinson is the key. I think they had to find a way to get him into the field, get him prepared, and he needs to step up. But again, that's what worries me. There are too many ifs. So many ifs have to hit for this team. So many ifs have to hit. And Chop Robinson probably it should not be as big as of if as he really is. He's a first-round pick. Same with Kenneth Grant. Those guys are first-round picks. They should not be as big as ifs they are. So that's what worries me. By now, those players we should be players we'll be counting on. If the light comes up and Chop Robinson plays great, awesome, but it still remains to be seen.
Fair enough, right? But I think that's fair. But I also have to say that's fair if this was like a well-run organization where he's not influenced by lackluster play, lackluster management, and everything else. I mean, you follow the leader, right? And especially a young mind. There's very few guys that come in the league that have gray head on their shoulders, and no matter what the situation is, they're going to put their best foot forward. It's very easy, especially in South Florida at a young age, right? All the clubs and everything else to get, you'll have the right influence to go run off and do something. If everybody else doesn't give a shit about football and put like Tyreek Hill quits on you, when your best guy says, get me out of the game because we're done, then what do you think Chop Robinson's going to do? He's going to play half-ass. You can't blame the kid. The kid's a kid. So that's the thing. And here's so that's a point. I'm not saying he's going to figure it out. I know, though, he has the talent. I know he has the skill. But can he light it up in year 3? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Especially with the guys with the fire under. That's like, hey, dude, if you don't step up, you're out. We're not going to waste time on you.
If they retain a coach that everybody praised was Austin Clark, and Austin Clark had been working with Chop Robinson for the last 3 years. So he knows what the problem is. So he knows if you can step up or not. Hopefully, I don't know, the defensive team is better and, he feels the pressure, he plays better. But I'll be honest, I'm still worried. I'm very worried about Chop Robinson because Chop Robinson wasn't a player that, when they drafted him, said we got a plug and play player. We know he was a player that, had his deficiencies. Another Jalen Phillips. He passed over the quarterback, but he didn't finish. So we were hoping for him to come to the NFL and take the next step and basically from being close to getting the sack to getting the sack. That has not happened. And I know you're completely right, 100% what you're saying. Hopefully, the changes are beneficial to him. But the fact is that Chop Robinson, from the time he came to the NFL, before he came to the NFL, has the same problems he had in college, the same problems he had now. He cannot finish. So they had to find a way as a coaching staff also to put him in a better situation. The last coaching staff did not do it. I agree 100% with that with you. He didn't get any favors from the last coaching staff. So hopefully with this scheme and Jeff Hafley, who basically is a defensive mind coach, Chop Robinson can take the next step. But for me, it still remains to be seen. We'll have to wait and see.
Let me see. The other one though is Zach Sealer. And let's say too, Chop Robinson is rookie. I didn't see the comments. Hold on, I got it. I get you every time. Let it go, Bobby. No, I ain't gonna let us probably talk about.
Tootsie will get you,
Tootsie, yeah. They'll get you every time. Yeah, there you go. Let it go.
Are you with Omar saying that are you with Omar? Are you with Omar saying that the problem with the Dolphins is that they go too much to the strip club and the distractions? That's the problem, Adrian. Because I don't know. There's no excuse,
But but again, that starts with leadership.
Yeah,
that starts with the leaders of this team, and when the leaders of your team, as great as they are, it's Tua who does not take who was Tua who does not take what do you call when someone's supposed
I'm sorry,
doesn't answer for himself, whatever. When I forgot what the word is, it's out of my head. But and we got someone like that who doesn't answer to his mistakes, who deflects. Oh, it's everybody else. It's whatever. Some bum ass, stupid ass press conference interviews. He doesn't own up to his mistakes. When you have guys and he says, "Oh, once I'm out of the facility, I forget everything else. I'm not paying attention." Okay, cool. Me too. I'm only here I only want the money. Show me the money. When your best player on your team and someone like Tyreek Hill, and I ain't gonna let that shit go because it's a fact. It still counts to this day because of Chop Robinson. He was a part of that roster. He's under those guys. But when you're leaders, when the leaders of your team, the guys that you're young coming to this league, and I disagree with the fact that what he didn't do in college and what he done to do in the NFL, because I watched his film. I talked about it. I said, people love to look at the fucking number. They love to look, oh, what's the statistics? Oh, look at how many sacks he has. Oh, this guy has 20 sacks, but he plays like ass. If you watch him, he doesn't, and then he plays like ass. Where Chop coming out of college, like when you watch that film, you saw the technique, you saw the skill, you saw what he did for Dennis Sutton, you saw what he did for his other teammates. So that's what you were looking for in the NFL. When he came in the league, started slow, finished hot in his rookie year, had 6 sacks, dropped down to 4 sacks last year. The whole, like you said, Jalen Phillips, there's a lot of flashes, but never the execution. A lot of getting to, but never finishing.
Yeah.
That's a player problem because he was a part of it for a while. Chop's in his 3rd year. That's why, to me, that's a question mark. I still believe he could do something. Moving on to D tackle. Zach Steeler. This is a guy we know could execute. This is a guy we know who could play his best football on Sundays and be the best DT when it counts. He didn't show that last year.
Who got paid?
He got paid. What happened? Where'd he go? We can't find him. What happened to him? This is another guy that if he's the guy who plays like he did before he got paid, come on. Think about our defense then. What about Kenneth Grant? Kenneth Grant, another guy, a rookie we drafted who came in the league and didn't perform that many people hoped. What if he steps up in his 2nd year with Zach Steeler? And then you get Chop. How are we cooking then? What are we thinking about then? Jordan Brooks, Terrell Dotson, Jacob Rodriguez, and so forth. That company. I hope I don't need to sell anybody on that linebackers group. I truly believe in that linebacker. I am so excited. I hope they don't trade Jordan Brooks because I love that linebackers group. Big question mark, the secondary.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson. What does Chris Johnson do in his rookie year? How much grace do we give him in his 1st year? Juju Brent's veteran. I'm not here or there with it. Jason Marshall, his 2nd year at the nickel corner. Possibly a starter there. How does he do? Where does he step up? And then the safeties. That's the secondary. Dante Trader, Lonnie Johnson. That's where I'm most concerned with is the secondary of this team. That's what kills you on this defense. But if your edge rushers, if your D-line does its job, that helps out the young secondary. We'll see. That's a tough task. I'm not saying it's all going to work out, but we're just saying, is the NFL underestimating the Miami? And these are the questions that come into play because Omar Kelly, how many wins does he have the Miami Dolphins? He's doubled down. You told me. What was it? 10 wins?
10 wins.
And
he seems to the ceiling is 10 wins, but he
all respect in the world, he could be smoking something.
Yeah.
Because realistically, how can you not believe it? But if the Marlins could do it, so can the Dolphins. Why? That's sports, baby. And I'm telling you, there's something in the air in Miami. I'm telling you. South Florida sports. Buckle up. Because I have a feeling.
You are going to love the cinematic trailer I have for Fins TV on July 17th. Did you think the Dolphins can get 10 wins, baby? Because, I understand what you're saying. Anything can happen. But,
anything can happen.
That's the beauty of baseball. That's why Moneyball works. Moneyball works because, basically, you have a lineup of 9 players and basically 2 pitchers and one pitcher and, the bullpen and the closer, and you can manufacture that in a 15-player roster. The NFL roster is 53 players. And, how many units you have, the special teams unit, the goal line units, the pass rush, is the situational substitution. Jeff Hafley will have to be a genius. A genius. Yeah, but,
he did. He removed the curse.
Yeah, but
the curse.
but you know who paid for removing the curse, so I'm not buying that one. So
All right.
So Jimmy Johnson used to be the master of situational substitution. That's what he did with the 90s Cowboys. He has so many young players that were good at one thing, and he find a way to substitute the players, for the scene, for the goal line, for the pass rush, for the run offers, for the passing game. And that's why so many Cowboys players got a lot of money paid in other places, and they didn't work out because they work for situation. They find something they were good at it, and they put it in a position to win. That's also what Don Shula used to do with a lot of his team. So Jeff Havley would have to be a genius to find a way to basically find a niche for every single player on the Dolphins to do the right thing and to convert that into the game. Might happen. Who knows? But Jeff Havley might be smarter than Mike McDaniel for what I know. Who knows? But if you ask me, I think it's different. And it's going to be rough. Going back to Zach Sealer. Zach Sealer played with you basically how many rookies last year? Benito Jones and 3 rookies. It's going to be difficult to succeed when the young players you have around you basically don't know what the f they're doing. So, he took a lot of pressure, a lot of the responsibility to carry that young core of defensive tackles, defensive linemen last year. So I'm not going to put that all on Zach Sealer. Zach Sealer is a pro. Zach Sealer has always been a good player. So I was expecting to be one of those players to bounce back this year because I expect a lot more for the young defensive line. I expect more for Kenneth Grant. I expect a lot more for all of the guys who were drafted last year. But it's gonna be rough. Again, I used to be the positive one. I do believe in the power of positivity. I do believe that we have a chance for that to happen. But again, it's rough, man, because it's hard when you have so many ifs. Omar can talk to Joe Rose. And Joe Rose said, basically you're doing a disservice to those players because you're setting the bar so high. And Omar Kelly's point is that, if they coach right, then, they put in this position to succeed, they might do that. It's rough, and he says, but the Dolphins, I don't know. I forgot which year it was. I apologize. But the year Chad Pennington came to the Dolphins, that year, Chad Pennington changed the whole thing. If Malik Willis is a player, I don't know. Devontae Parker had an awesome year last year. I think he had 1,300 yards that year, Devontae Parker. I think that was probably the best year of Devontae Parker's career. So if Chris Bells comes to this team and basically from week 6 or 8, 9, or 10 or whatever, he comes back, he lights the sky on fire, he becomes a player who's going to be in a first-round pick, maybe. But we're playing with players like basically being role players every single as they go somewhere elsewhere. So, Bobby, you know me, I don't want to be the one who are pushing against your positivity. But right now, I just don't see it. I don't see it. And we were talking before the show how the NFL Network did their preview, the daily preview with the guy with the guy that put the cartoon with the bag over his head, and basically we got 2s, 3s, 1, 4, and 1, 5. I think that was it. So, I can understand why not. Why not us? Well, sure, why not us? But it's got to be rough. I'm gonna be. My ceiling is 4, and my ceiling is 4.
I said the same thing. I say the same thing. Again, there's realistically, yes, that's what I'm saying. But at the same time, I understand where Omar's coming from. I get it. And again, when you look at Malik Willis and De'Von Achane, first off, we make a lot of the receivers. I believe in Chris Bell. I'm excited to see what Caleb Douglas does and Kane Coleman. But Miami's already said this is going to be a running team. De'Von Achane's the top 10 running back in the NFL. 5th, according to ESPN, top 8 according to his peers and the executives around the league. Hell yes. Show me what Ollie Gordon's going to do this year. Does Jalen Wright step up, right? Like, if this is a run-first team, you got the guys to do it. Malik Willis, De'Von Achane, and let's see what Ollie Gordon and Wright can do. Because we're making a lot of these receivers, and I get it. Because we've been spoiled with some damn good wide receivers, and I still think we got some damn good guys cooking in the background. But This is not your yesteryear's Dolphins or this last year Dolphins. This is a run first team. And again, go ahead.
I'm still not with the fact that last week you told me, how dare you? When I told you last week that, this season is going to be in Chris Greer. Because last year's draft from Chris Greer is the one's going to determine the record for these Dolphins. Dante Trader Jr., Kenneth Grant, Savanea. Those are the players that need to step up for this team to basically win more than 5 games. So if Chris Greer hit on those players and these coaches that finds a way to, to develop those players and they give the step, I heard, I think it was your role with Omar saying that the Patrick Paul step, he does really get the Patrick Paul steps. Who knows? They might win 7. But, it's on those players. It's the second-year players.
No, but you're right.
Who basically are going to determine this team.
That's fair.
Those are Chris Greer. Those are Chris Greer players. So,
but if Chris Greer was the coach, the general manager, and let's say Mike McDaniel was still the coach, Malik Willis wouldn't have been your quarterback. It would have been Quinn Ewers. You probably would have the same type of roster. You're not the same draft class, and it would have been the same old.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, there are guys that could hit.
We're in a much better position right now. Absolutely. You're 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
But I get your point, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong, right? Because Patrick Paul is a hit, and he continues to grow to be a hit. Aaron Brewer was a signing, said Savanea could be a hit. Achane, a hit for sure.
Jordan Brooks.
Absolutely. So we'll see, man. Look, again, this season's still all about little to no expectations. My expectations on the Dolphins this year is progression. All I want to see is progress. If Chop Robinson has a strong year, that's great. Even if Miami has a bad year. If Malik Willis looks like, the quarterback of the future, we've won because we're going to have a lot more money next year and we're going to secure this side. De'Von Achane, we already have him locked up. The receiver room. Hey, if none of these receivers step up, if Chris Bell, Caleb Douglas, and Coleman don't step up in this room, they can't make a footing, which I believe they can. But if they don't, and we have an early draft pick, bring in Jeremiah Smith. That offensive line, Patrick Paul, Kaden Proctor, Aaron Brewer signed in already. You got the right guard, right tackle. Guess what? Those two don't work out. Boom, we got it for next year. Think about that. And that's the same thing that happened with the Marlins. I'm just saying, just bringing it back up. The Marlins, again, this was a team that no one had any expectations for. I talked, Russ Morgan, a host of On Deck Baseball Podcast, knows his stuff, man. He's great. He is a Yankees fan. He's a Boston Celtics fan. He is a Jets fan. So he's not perfect, obviously. If you could have the shittiest teams to be a fan of in the world, Russ Morgan is. But
I love Russ. What's coming?
Love Russ. But he knows his stuff on baseball. But I remember he was telling me, hey, They got a good young squad. When I asked him, what do you really think? They got a good young squad. I don't expect them to do anything. That was the truth. Nobody expected the Marlins to be what they're doing. But guess what? They are fucking cooking. They are cooking. Yeah. Why? New coach, new culture. That's what Miami could do. There's no expectations with the Dolphins, and that's the way it should be. No one should go into this league going, we're going to win 10 games because you're going to get disappointed. Just go with, hey, I'm excited to watch this team because there's no expectations. Because how farther down can we go?
And we talked so many times during the draft, after the draft, that the goal for Jeff Hafley and Soliwell was draft and develop. That they drafted well. Now they have to find a way to develop those players because that's gonna be key. If they don't find a way to develop those players, I would expect for this team is they have to be a much better team by week 17 than what we won. Those young players playing better. You can say, okay, we got at least 4 starters or 5 starters from the players that we drafted the last couple of years for sure. And with $100 million, we can plug and play another this or that. So it's going to be, and basically the key of this season, I'm going to say it one more time, is on Malik Willis. If Tua was, deservedly so. If Tua was criticized by being a player who could not, overcome the adversity of leading a team to carry this team to wins by himself, and he wasn't the answer because of that, which he wasn't, and they were right by saying so. It's the same on Malik Willis. Malik Willis has to find a way to, for a game or two or even more, carry this team on his back, find a way to get some wins by himself for me to be the answer. I'm going to judge Malik Willis the same way everybody evaluated Tua deservedly so. So he has to find a way to carry this team and to show that this team, he can be the difference. I'm not saying that he's going to be the league MVP. And that would be absurd with this roster. It would be absurd. But I expect Malik Willis to, so to show me sometimes that he's a quarterback capable enough to carry this team on his back and get some wins. He's gonna have to win. I don't know. I had the ceiling at 4 and the bottom at 2. He's gonna have to find a way to win 2 or 3 games to say we won those games because Malik Willis found a way to carry the team on his back and wills his way to a win. If that happens, I don't care if 1-5 wins. He might be the quarterback of the future. If he doesn't, no, he's the same problem as Tua. He's not good enough. So we have to wait and see. That's just
well. I'll just say, I understand where you're coming from, but I will say, Tua was a 5th overall pick. Malik Willis was a 3rd round pick. One is a starting quarterback for how many years, and given all the help he could have in the world, and still didn't do shit. And Malik Willis, didn't get anything in Tennessee and was a 2nd stringer in Green Bay. So
absolutely,
I'll tell you, if he sucks,
we're gonna have a top pick. So we have to make a decision. If he's good at quarterback.
But I'll just say, if we win one game because of Malik Willis putting the Dolphins on his back, meaning the game's on the line, and instead of just airing it out as much as he can to a Tyreek Hill like player, maybe he's running and he's getting that first down and he gets it to Chris, whatever, he could do all that. He'll do something that Tua never did. Because if the game was on the line and it was on Tua, we weren't winning that game.
That's the difference. We exactly 100%. He needs to do that. I'm not expecting him to be I don't know, Patrick Mahomes or Allen. I'm not saying that, but I need to see those things. I need to find, if he basically, when the game is on the line, he basically falls like Tua. He's not the answer. He's not the answer. So we have to wait and see.
But here's the thing, though. Now we have the management and the coaching staff that are not going to wait around. Like, they'll give him his grace. Absolutely. They'll let him work it out because, again, he's a guy who's his first time starting. But he'll give him the grace. But if he's not the guy, they're not going to be hung up on him like Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel sticking around with Tua just because they love him and we can't hurt his feelings and he's soft as fucking tissue paper and everything else. No, they're gonna say, hey, we love you, but we're gonna get a guy to compete with you. You compete, you lost, you're now the backup. And guess what? We're golden. Raj, my man, great to see you. No worries, brother. Appreciate you just dropping in, my man.
And Malik is a player that will be easy to love because that athleticism, the guy that the great dude, he will be easy to love. It's easy to root for Malik Willis. And that kind of player,
yeah, he'd be watching those Falcon games, brother.
I'll say one more time. I hope he does great. But I'm not gonna be rooting for any other team that's not the Dolphins. Yeah.
There ain't no cuddling in here, boy.
Yeah. I can tell you. I can tell you that. It's not like he's dead. It's not like he's dead to me. But but I really don't care. I hope he does good, but I really don't care.
Sammy Manraj is asking you: Is the offense better than the defense? Which side do you think is better?
You will think so, right? It should be because basically, But I'm when I hear those analysts go to to the Miami media, everybody says basically that the defense is going to be the problem. Personally, I think the defense is going to surprise a lot of people. I expect the defense to be better than the offense this year. That's my opinion. I like that. Last week, I basically told you that it went under the radar, but I expect the Dolphins defense to be better by the end of the year. Scheme wise, the way Jeff Hafley says he's gonna call that defense. I think he's gonna find a way to put his touch into it. He's gonna go a lot of frosting on that bear cake because that defense is gonna need a lot of work. But they had to find a way to find a pass rush, to cover. We have to wait and see. But I do expect by the end of the year the defense is gonna be better. I think probably when you think about it, when you have De'Von Achane and Malik Willis, you should think that the offense should be better. But the defense usually always starts ahead of the defense. I expect that to be for the whole year. So, in my opinion, I expect the defense to be better by the end of the year. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I'm gonna go full into that. So, what are your thoughts? You think the offense is gonna be better, Bobby?
Yeah, I love that point that you brought up. It really makes you think. Because you know what? Yeah, I think you're right on. I think that the defense could be better. than the offense. And it's not really too much of a knock on the offense because there's not much expectations on anything. The receivers, again, I look at this receiving core and there's a lot of question marks. We don't know. There's guys I have high expectations. I'm excited to watch, but I just don't know. But when I look at this defense with Zach Sealer and Jordan Brooks and Jacob Rodriguez and Dotson and Johnson and Chop, and I feel like that's a team, that's a defense we're like, oh, it's gonna be all right. And all of a sudden we go, damn, wait, top 15? Okay. I'm here. I hear you. Our receivers are pro players. They deserve respect for sure. Of course they do. Tua, Malik Willis.
Yeah, they're pros, but we're back to the square with that hard knocks. I said it so many times. The hard knocks that Jeff Allen said we have 4, 5, and 6s. We have to fight 1, 2s, and 3s. Tutu Atwell was a third or a fourth. Tolbert was a third or fourth. Malik Washington was a third. So who's going to be the first? Chris Bell, hopefully, is going to come back and be the first. But no, we have not one player who has been number 1 anywhere. No. So that's the bottom line. So hopefully they step up. But, as of today, we don't have a number 1 nor a number 2. That's the fact.
Monraj says, Tua or Malik, who's better? Right now, just based, and it's not really who's better. I will just say, because if Tua was healthy and everything else, that might be a different conversation. Because Tua, when everything's right, he's right? Like we know what he can do when everything's working. But if you're telling me who would you rather have, who's better for the Dolphins, who's better, it's Malik Willis. We know what Tua is, right? Malik, and I love that answer by Robert right there. We know Tua's ceiling. Malik is an unknown, right? Malik, we know what he could do with the arm. We know what he could do with the legs.
I think
Malik Willis all day.
I think it's an easy answer.
Yes,
Who's
sir.
the better player right now? Tua's the better player. Tua has proven more. Who's the better player for the Dolphins? Malik Willis 100%. Because Tua gave us all he had. There's no that we know what we had. And it's getting us nowhere. I prefer to go take a chance on Malik Willis' potential with his running, with his arm. He has a cannon for an arm. He has a lot of running. So when you go to the cold to New England to Buffalo in the next couple of years, I would rather have Malik Willis running for the first down and throwing the ball deep than to have Tua. So that's the bottom line. Well, who's the better quarterback? Tua has proven he's the better quarterback for the last 5 years. That's the only thing we know right now. Hopefully Malik will take the next step, and by the end of the year we say no, definitely Malik is better. But for who's better for the Dolphins? Malik Willis is better for the Dolphins right now. Tua should not. That's why DSG makes so much more fun of me. I always wanted to a supporter, but I knew the time has come to move on from Tua, and they did the right decision. So who's better for the Dolphins? If that's the question, Malik Willis is better for the Dolphins.
There you go. Mirage says he got 15 assists last year in 25, and that's bad. I think he'll do bad with the Falcons if he did bad with Dolphins. There you go. Appreciate you, Mirage, man.
I'll tell you what, it remains to be seen because the scheme that Mike McDaniel had for the Dolphins was a timing and read on offense. You had to throw the ball basically blind, and the ball need to be in the yard and that spot, and the receivers had to be there in that moment. And you had a lot of undisciplined players like you in the Dolphins. Tyree wasn't disciplined. Water wasn't disciplined. Malik Washington is not the best route runner in the world. So when you have wide receivers like he has with the Falcons, long, lengthy, long arms, big hands, Tua has to throw it there, and we'll have to wait and see if those guys catch him. I would not be surprised. And right now, he has a grasp on that number 1 quarterback in Atlanta. So, and when you have a running back like that, with Bijan Robinson, he has weapons. He has weapons in Atlanta. He has a very good
the
coach.
Best case,
he's not going to go to a bad coach. He's going to a good coach. So
he is. This is the best.
He might surprise
situation.
a lot of people with that.
I agree with
that kind of player and with that kind of scheme. So we have to wait and see on that.
I agree with that.
Hopefully,
Hopefully he does situation.
He doesn't get stupid. Start go head first with the first down, and gets a concussion again, and goes all to hell. But hopefully he's played smarter for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and I agree with you. He's in the best situation possible right now for him. Hog Dog says, we don't know what we got till we see Willis. Mobility could make plays. Yep. Tua has a fear of injury. If he stays clean, he'll do well. One hit, and fair enough. We'll see. I don't wish him, and I hope he does great with Atlanta. We needed to move on. He needed to move on. I hope he does well because he isn't the best. I don't think he would have done any better
if he went anywhere else. I think Atlanta's the best situation. If he can't do well in Atlanta,
absolutely.
then it's just he needs to.
It's over. It's over. Yes.
But
it's
anyway,
over. And I want to go to what Hot Dog said because Malik Willis' mobility is proven. That's not the problem. That's why he's here because Eflin Sullivan know the player he is. No, he's a problem for defenses. Go back to the Bears game. He was he got hurt. He stepped up, and he kept playing. He kept running for first downs. The mobility, he's an athlete. He's an incredible athlete. We have to wait and see if he can stay in the pocket and basically find a way for the players to get open and get that first down by throwing the ball. That's the problem with him. So we have to wait and see.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, we appreciate you all for tuning in on this episode of Fins Talk Today, powered by FTSN and Fins TV, sponsored by Caneswear. Again, my Miami fans, if you love the Dolphins, Heat, Marlins, Panthers, Miami Hurricanes, and you want to represent your favorite teams, go check out Caneswear. If you're everywhere other than Canes in South Florida, 2655 South University Drive in Davie, go to caneswear.com. Very quick though, in regard to FTSN, continuing coverage, continue to watch, subscribe to FTSN if you're new to the channel. We continue to monitor the Miami Heat situation with LeBron James. Does he sign? I'll just say this too in regard to the Miami Marlins. Otto Lopez for MVP. We'll see. Looking like it. Also, I'll tell you is that for Dolphin stuff content, you continue watch Fins Talk Today on Thursday nights, and you follow the Heat stuff on Wednesday nights with me and Alex. Baseball, of course, Wednesdays as well with On Deck at 7:30, and then of course Saturdays usually No Holds Barred Wrestling podcast, but we're going to have a schedule change for this week because Josh is offline, but we will be live tomorrow night. I'm thinking 8 p.m. Eastern time for WrestleMania Rewind with Josh. Maybe my brother as well, because my brother and I were supposed to do Nitro, so maybe my brother Nick will join us. Waiting to hear back officially from Adrian, but we're gonna have a nice cast for tomorrow night. So if you love wrestling, you love WrestleMania 13, tune in tomorrow night here on FTSN. So we'll talk and all of that. Manraj, to answer your question, optimistic record. Again, realistically, I'm gonna say 5. Gonna say 5.
The ceiling.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 5. But again, don't sleep on a shocker with the Dolphins. I'm just saying. Again, just saying. But I'm gonna say 5 because that's just realistic. I mean, you look at the roster, you gotta be real.
I'm on the record saying my ceiling is 4. So yeah.
There you go. But anyway, what can't you say this? Wait a second, Fins TV. Fins TV. Hold on, we do have an alert on Fins TV. Sammy, what's the latest?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna come back. We're gonna have our season trailer. It's gonna be a fun video. It's gonna premiere before Fins Talk Today on Thursday, July 23rd at 7 p.m. on X. So we're gonna laugh a little bit about the prospects of next season. Of course, the bonus episodes of Fins TV starts Tuesday, July 28th at 8 p.m. and the season premiere of Fins TV on September 8th at 8 p.m. Tuesday, September 8th at 8 p.m.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you all tuning in here on Fins Talk Today, here on FTSN and Fins TV. I'm Bobby Fins Talk. That's Fin Sammy. Like and subscribe. And most importantly, as always, Fins up. Peace.